So good morning, wherever you are. Good morning. I have my cup of tea. So for those of you new to my channel, hi, I'm Carolyn. I live in London, but I clearly have a North American accent. I am originally from the States, and I thought for today it might be kind of fun to chat a little bit about what it's like, or what it has been like, being an American living in London in the UK for the last 14 years? It's almost been 14 years. So I thought that's kind of what we would talk about while I am putting on makeup and things like that. I don't know why I said things like that. It will be makeup. It will be cosmetics. So everything I'm using today is from like the drugstore or from an affordable makeup brand. I think, is there any exceptions? I think it really is like all affordable. So I have Revolution Pro, regular Revolution, NYX, Flower Beauty, and e.l.f. And then I have a little bit of Colourpop just because I didn't have all the products I needed. Apologies as always for any drilling sounds outside. It is Sunday as I am filming this, and they are still out there doing stuff today, so super fun. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to zoom you in a little bit. It's not a tutorial, we're not really focusing on anything particular, but I'm just going to kind of bring you in a little bit. Okay. Alright, fine. I'm having some breakouts like right around here, so if you see lots of spots and stuff, that's just... Alright, I'm going to have to close the window. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'll just show you what I'm using. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and I have this Sugar Rush palette from Flower Beauty. It comes with a brush. We will try the brush out as well. So this is what it looks like. Quite pretty. I haven't really tried it at all. I've just kind of touched and swatched a few of them. Like this color here looks really pretty, so I think I'll definitely try and use that. So yeah, we'll just try and use a few different ones. I think I might stick on like this side as much as I can, but I might have to pull in a little bit from this one. I'll go ahead and just put some swatches here, so if you want to see that. So we're just going to use it, and then I'm just going to talk to you about stuff. Also, I'm going to use the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. Oh shit, no. Sorry, I totally forgot what I was going to do. I was actually going to prime my skin first. I'm like really flaky today. I think it's been really busy everywhere, and my brain is pudding. I'm going to use the NYX HighGlass Primer. I wanted to actually put the primer on first so it had some time to sit and warm up on my skin before I put foundation on top of that. So I'm just going to take a little bit out, and I'm just going to use that to kind of go around my face, and then we're going to use the Poreless Putty Primer on the center of it. I don't usually prime, but I kind of wanted to just give it a go, do something different. You gotta get out of your comfort zones a little bit. And it's supposed to give you like a really natural kind of dewy glow. Ow. Stella scratched me the other day on accident. She was trying to get food out of my hand. They're not scratchy cats, like at all. Speaking of which, somebody's in here. Can you see him in the camera? No. His Highness the Betty has come. It feels nice. My skin definitely looks very shiny, so it's okay. Actually, I've been using some BHA exfoliants on my skin, and I am actually getting a little bit of dryness from it. I think I've used it way too much. That's how I am. I'm like, oh, it's kind of working, so let me use it a lot to the point where I'm going to burn my skin off. So, alright, I'm just going to put a little bit of the Poreless Putty Primer on the nose. And then I'll put a little bit here on the chin, and then just a little bit here. And then we're actually going to use it to set for an eye base as well. One of you guys suggested that it actually works really well as an eye base, so I am quite keen to give it a go. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of it and just kind of go across the lids. Let's just see how that... Okay, I'm just going to let that sit for about 30 to 60 seconds, and then we'll go ahead and set it with just a bit of setting powder. I'll be using this for my face later, which is just the Revolution Bake & Blot. I've used it before. It's not great, but it's the only, like, is it? Yeah, I think it's the only affordable, like, just powder I have. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's the only one that I have that I feel like Yeah, I think it's it. So we're going to use this, but I'm going to let it just sit just for a minute and then try and take out any creases that form in it. So yeah, so I've talked about this before, that I moved here to London, as I said, nearly 15 years ago, to go to university, and then I stayed, I did my PhD, now I'm a lecturer, we call it a lecturer here in the US, it would be assistant professor, so that's kind of the title, so to speak. But I mean, I told you guys if you're interested, I would be happy to talk about my work, but I don't really want to like today. So I just thought it'd be interesting just to talk a little bit about my experiences living here in the UK, what it's like, why I stayed, why I haven't gone back to the US, which is obviously, there's a lot of reasons, but kind of the simplest one is I didn't want to. Anyway, so I originally moved here to the UK in 2006. I started my master's program in September of 2006. Which was a year long, and then I started my PhD pretty much right after that. Okay, so those are all set now. So we're going to use this little Flower Beauty brush that came with it. We'll go ahead and start with that. I'm just going to go into a light pink, and we'll make it work. I also have, I'm going to try a little bit of this NYX glitter primer to put maybe one of the shimmer shades on and just see how it works. Yeah, so I came for school, but the original time I came to the UK was actually the year and a half before. My partner at the time was English. He still is English, but, you know, English. And we came to visit his family. And I kind of just fell in love with London. It was such a cool place, such a different place than I was used to. Such a big, bustling kind of city. And I'm like, I want to give it a go. I want to try living in London for, well, at the time I thought just a year. So we kind of sold everything, sold all the possessions, everything we had, you know, to make funds, to make it happen, because it wasn't going to be cheap. And we moved. And I think at the beginning, you know, whenever you move to a new country, it's kind of a culture shock, even though you think, oh, well, how can, like, London or the UK be that bad? It's the same, they speak the same language, and it's like, they really don't. There's a lot of subtlety that you miss just like watching TV shows and you know, thinking you have an understanding of British culture when you really don't. It's quite an interesting place for anyone who lives here. I think you would agree that it's very diverse, and you know, it's just like any other big country. You have lots of regional differences and regional pluses and minuses. So I've lived in a couple different places in the UK. All of them around London. So when I say London, I also kind of mean like the London metropolitan area. So I used to live near DC, just outside DC. And so you have like, you know, the central part of the city, and then you have like all the surrounding towns and the suburbs and everything, but it's still kind of like the DC metro area. So it's kind of like that. So anything within the M25, which is the big orbital, or it's like a beltway, like it goes all the way around, that circles London is kind of London. There are little towns and lots of other things in there, but it's kind of like considered to be part of Greater London. So I've lived in Greater London, of the 14 years here, 12, in different places. So I lived in the north part of London in the county Hertfordshire, so it's kind of a little bit north, a little bit more rural, and then I would commute in to work and to do my PhD and stuff quite a lot, every day pretty much. We were about 45 minutes on the train, and it's looking pretty good so far, don't you think? Might be. And then I've lived in South London, I've lived in Wimbledon, and now I'm in North London. Actually, it's in London postcode, so I'm pretty close. I can walk to work, which is in central London, not quite central, but almost central London, in about an hour and 45 minutes. So it's about 6-7 miles out, but it's still pretty close, and like I said, close enough to walk. And that's one of the things that I definitely had to learn to be good at very quickly, is walking everywhere, because a lot of people, especially in London, I guess maybe it's like living in New York, like you don't have a car, so you walk everywhere, or you take public transport. And And so if you just come here, like as a poor broke student, you know, you don't want to waste your money on public transportation. You want to spend it on fun stuff or going out or, you know, whatever it is. And so you walk everywhere. And I remember, I think it was the first time I was even visiting, we were walking around, me and my ex-partner, and like my feet were bleeding. Like it was that bad because I just was so not used to walking. And I was somebody who would go to the gym. I was really like very fit at the time, so it wasn't like that. It was just you're just not used to, in the States, doing that. You are used to getting in your car and going from point A to point B. Like it's that simple. And if you walk, you're like walking around a mall or walking indoors or walking in an outdoor shopping thing. It's like, I don't know. I know it's different all the way across the States, but just where I was, it was very much like you went in your car to go somewhere to do something. You didn't walk there. Oh, just to say something about the product. So it is pretty good. It's a little bit sheer and it does kind of want to wipe off a little bit. So just, it seems pretty good, but it's not super opaque. It's not super pigmented. It is really kind of like a very gentle wash of color. I'm just trying to get the two sides to look vaguely similar, which they don't really quite yet. I think I went too ham-fisted on the purple. Ham-fisted on the purple on the left eye. Let me just get a clean brush and just try and blend some of this out. Wipe some of it off. Yeah, I definitely want to try that kind of interesting shimmer color. Let me do a little finger swatch. I don't know if you can see, but it's kind of slightly like a duochrome, I think. Let me see. So it kind of has like a brown undertone, but a little bit of like a pinky, purple blue kind of shift. So why don't we take out this primer? Okay, so I'm just gonna put this kind of like on. It's quite thick. Okay. I'll just put this across like half the lid, and then we'll go ahead and pack that in, and we'll just kind of, and then I'll do the other one off camera. Ooh, that's very wet. All right, I'm just gonna go into this color with my finger and just kind of press it. I've never used a glitter glue or glitter primer before, so if it's like looks hideous, it's gonna be my fault more than the primer's fault. It does make it very foiled looking, which is cool. I do have some chunks. I think I need a little brush. Just a little dense one, just to get it to smooth out a little bit on the edges. I don't know, the problem is it's made it look really kind of crepey. Because I used it like too close to where the skin is really foldy here. Maybe I should take some of this off. Let me just try the other eye without the glitter primer, and just so we can see the difference between the two. Yeah, interesting. So it doesn't want to stick as well, obviously. It's still doing this kind of crepey eyelid thing, which it's just me, you know, I have aging skin. I'm in my late 30s, so, you know, it does start to change as you age, and you have to adapt to it. You can't just, expect that the way that you did your makeup when you're 20 is the same way you're going to do it when you're nearly 40, you know, so you have to be adaptable. But can you see the intensity difference? So like this is like so shimmery and shiny, and this one is just kind of dull. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of the glitter glue over that, and then just try and make it a little bit more intense. It's not glue, it's a glitter primer, so I guess it just means it's a bit more sticky. I think it's okay for now. I really need to clean it up, so let me just go off camera for a minute and tidy everything up. I'm also going to go ahead and just do my eyeliner. It's not anything new for today. We do have a new mascara, which I will come back so that we have a chance to do that. Okay, so I did the eyeliner and I cleaned up a little bit. That color kind of got everywhere. So on this eye, it's like really, like the glitter primer has made it like really crepey. So it kind of almost gives like a crunchy texture to it. This eye, it's not as bad, but it's still a very crepey texture. So there's something about that color, which is a bit like, I guess because it's quite a foiled kind of shade, it definitely does leave like a texture on the eye, so I think that's important to remember. For mascara, we're going to try this Warrior Princess, Xena? Warrior Princess? Mascara by Flower Beauty again. Expectations of how it's going to work. I don't even think I've seen many reviews about it. Have you guys? I don't really know. So it is a fluffy, you guys can see it, so like a double, like a hourglass kind of shape. There's not too much product on it. It smells terrible, but that's because it's a mascara and they all smell terrible. Find me a mascara that smells good. I don't think it exists. So let's just go ahead and wiggle it on. Okay, well it went on fine, so let's just let it dry and just see what happens. If it starts to like go do like the raccoon eye thing, we'll probably notice quite quickly. So let's just let it sit. We'll go ahead and do the brows before we do the rest of the face, just so that that has time to kind of settle, and I might have to clean up a little bit more after it. I'm curious about this one. I really want to try this primer on other things. It kind of was a bit weird, like the textures are definitely a bit weird over there. All right, so for brows, we're just going to use this e.l.f, what is it called? Instant Lift Brow Pencil. I don't know. Let's open up the package, see what it looks. Okay, so here's what it looks like. So we have quite a large comb on the one side, and let's see what the actual product side looks like. Oh, it's just a pencil. Ooh. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of fill in a little bit, and then we'll use the spoolie. That's what it's called, spoolie. Oh my god, I gotta sneeze. Okay, so where was I? So yeah, so one of the first things that I learned kind of about being in London, really, I don't know if this is a whole UK-wide thing, is walking. So we walked everywhere. And I think I'm kind of a person who takes things quite to an extreme. So many times we would walk, you know, for hours. And even now with my partner, before the lockdown, we would walk, you know, 10, 12 miles just to go somewhere with no real problem. Sure, we could take public transport and get there in a quarter of the time, but you know, you want your exercise, and, you know, part of it is discovering, you know, London, discovering the area around you. So walking places is fun. It can be really tiring, obviously, but you kind of have to build up like a walking kind of stamina, which I've kind of now, obviously, because we've been in lockdown for, when is it? Almost 2.5 months, I think it is right now. We haven't really been doing much walking at all, other than to like local shops and local things, which is obviously what we were supposed to be doing. But it means like our ability is quite low. So we're gonna have to kind of rebuild back up like our walking tolerance. And my feet definitely, even if we go for a short walk now, I can feel that I'm not like prepared for it. So that worked fine. It's really just kind of like a coloring in thing. I think the color is good. It definitely matches my roots and the actual, like, my eyebrows itself, so that's fine. Alright, let me just check the mascara, make sure it's dry. I have lots of fallout from that glitter shade under my eyes, but such is life. Alright, so on the face we're going to be using these two products, which is the Revolution Pro CC Cream. It says it has a SPF of 30 Perfecting Foundation, and then the Pro Ultimate Coverage Crease-Proof Concealer. So I got the foundation in the color F1 and the concealer in C1. I don't know, I mean, I bought them online, so it's a bit hard to actually know what you're getting, whether it's going to be a good color for you, so I did the best I could. So I think until we get it on the face, we're not going to know whether it's a good match or not. Okay, so that looks like it could be okay. So we have a squeezy tube and a pump. Pumpy dude. Now let's just have a look at the concealer. Is it the same? Okay, it's just a squeezy tube. Does it just have a squeezy applicator? Yeah, it's just a squeezy applicator. And I'm just going to be using a sponge. So this is I got it the Juno & Co, like the velvety one. I really liked the one I got from Colourpop, so I wanted to get another. So we'll try this one today. I haven't tried it out yet, so I am not going to put this straight on my face, though. I'm going to pump a bit on my hand. I don't think I'm too off with the color. Well, we will see very quickly, won't we? All right, so where was I? Okay, so walking, that's a big, let's see how it goes, was I don't know. So that was something. Also, I think what some people don't understand or maybe kind of realize about London itself is that everyone here, for the most part, is a transplant. So we're all from other places. Even if you're from the UK, I think this is a bit light. Sorry. Even if you're from the UK, chances are that you weren't born here in London. I do have one of my very good friends. She is kind of Londoner. Her and her family are Londoners, born and bred. But it's kind of, it feels like a little bit like the exception. I think when you get out into the like boroughs, like further away from central London, specific parts of London, you probably have more people that have been there more than like a generation or something. But in my area where I am, it's kind of almost all foreigners. Quite a lot of North Americans, which have moved here, and we live really close to an area that is kind of Turkish and Turkish Cypriot. So first of all, amazing food. So we'll just put that there. But it also means that like everyone can kind of feel like they belong because nobody belongs in a way, if that makes sense, because we're all kind of foreigners. So there's specific boroughs which are probably more foreign than other ones, but everywhere that I've lived in London has been kind of like that. When I lived in Hertfordshire, it was a bit different. There was definitely more it was more British, or people who have been in Britain for a couple of generations, so they may not have been like Britons for like a couple hundred years, but like for the whole last of the century or something like that. So okay, I haven't used very much. It's not really like melding into the skin very nice though, but it's not really on the puff either. I don't know. Let's keep going. So I quite like that. I like the fact that not everyone, that there's so many people who are from somewhere else. And even the people who have been here, they've often traveled quite a bit. And, you know, I think what you'll find is that because they're, you know, just because we're not going to be European anymore here because of the Brexit thing, you know, we still are part of Europe, generally as a continent. And so most people have traveled quite a bit. They've gone into Europe. They've traveled there. They've gone to North Africa. They've traveled across the world. So you also have people who have experienced more of the world here. And I think that's really interesting too. I think where I grew up when I was really young was kind of similar to that in the States. But where I went to high school and college was definitely more, there was people who had never left the country before, like ever, who have even been to like Canada or Mexico. And then, of course, you have people who may not have even left their state, if you're from the US. And so I think because of that, you get like a really world kind of view being here in London. It is definitely a global city. And I think that's one of the reasons I like it so much, is because it has that diversity of people. Oh, itchy. What's itchy? Let me just get my mirror up here so I can see what this is looking like up close. Because like on camera, I think it looks okay. It looks really pale. Maybe I got like too light of a color. Oh, it looks terrible up close. It's like really... It's like getting into like every nasty nook and cranny. Yeah, it looks pretty bad right up close. Like here, especially, it's quite like... It's like my skin is, I think, a little bit sensitive from all the stuff I've been doing to it to try and help it, which may have made things worse. So like here it's okay, but it's definitely like it sinks in and sits really nasty in the pores. And I've really been, I put a Poreless putty on here, so it really shouldn't be doing that much, but it is sinking in. It's showing all the little dry patches on my nose here from the BHA stuff, and it's just kind of sitting on top of the pores here, or in the pores, so it almost looks like I have a whole bunch of like whiteheads right now. It's not attractive. That's not nice. I mean, what is it? It says it's just like a CC cream, so it shouldn't be that different from any of the other tinted stuff I have, but this is really gross looking. Really disgusting. I'm just trying to like buff it in a little bit to like hopefully get rid of some of that texture, but ugh. Woof. Okay, yeah, no likey. Let's try the concealer. Just do a little bit on my finger. It's kind of gray. Am I gonna be able to film after this? No, that is definitely the wrong color. Oh, and my skin feels really sticky. Like, that's really sticky. Ugh, sorry, that consistency is gross. I'm taking that off. Sorry, that's really disgusting. It's like a putty. Gross, where's my wipe? Let me just wipe under my eyes. Cat hair everywhere. Oh, I can't even get it to come off. Gross. All right, I'm gonna go to the bathroom and I'm just gonna take all this off. I'm sorry guys, I'm gonna take both of this concealer. I'm gonna take the foundation, the concealer off. Sorry, it's gross. I'm not gonna wear it. I'll be right back. Okay, I cleaned the whole face. It was disgusting. What I've done is I cleaned it with makeup remover stuff and then some micellar water. Then I put on some just lotion, especially in the areas that looked really crusty. And then I went ahead and re-put on the Poreless Putty Primer and a little bit of the HighGlass face primer. So what we're going to do instead, and I'm not going to talk about them at all because you've seen these before, is we're going to use the Tinted Skin Veil and the Born to Glow, these two, for the face. Oh my gosh, that was nasty. That concealer, so gross, guys. I have no idea. No idea what fork that was. That was... I think it might be that Makeup Revolution and I are gonna have to break up, you know? I don't get it. You know, it's not that dissimilar from this, and then this is like beautiful, okay? No problems. Anyway, so, also the good thing about London, because we have so many people from so many different parts of the world, is that the food is amazing. You hear a lot of like comedians talk about, you know, crap British food, especially like in the States, like we always make fun of it. And to be fair, like traditional British food is like, it's pretty boring fare, you know, it's meat and, you know, potato, was it meat and bread and kind of stuff. So it's not like, or pies filled with things, like pastry with meat inside, like, you know, so they're not like, they're delicious things, you know, don't get me wrong, but they're not necessarily the most exciting foods. But because London is so diverse and there's so many people from all over the world, that you can get any food that you want, any cuisine at all. And that's amazing. Like, I've had some of the best Japanese food outside of Japan here in London. I've had the most amazing curries and most amazing Turkish food and just like everything, like just so good. And I can't think of another place, I mean maybe New York, which would have such an amazing diversity of restaurants. It's like, what food do you want? It's like, well, where do you want to, you know, what country do you want to eat food from? Some of our favorite places locally are like, there's a really nice Thai restaurant we go to quite a lot, and a really nice, I love Vietnamese food. That's one of my favorite cuisines. And so we're still trying to find like the best Vietnamese food. There's this amazing one in central London near Covent Garden, which is so good, but obviously can't go there right now. But yeah, so we have all these really great foods from all over the world. A really good Japanese place actually, locally too. And then of course you have like Chinatown, where you can go and get, oh my god, the dim sum. So good. The queues are amazing though, it's just like so long. And yeah, anyway, don't have to worry about that now. We have finally found a good takeaway Chinese local, which is really good. Very like authentic Chinese, like kind of what you're expecting. Not authentic, that's the wrong word. It's almost like an American style takeaway Chinese, which I know it sounds kind of weird that that's what I want, but that was like the flavor that I wanted. Anyway, I don't think you guys can appreciate how different this looks, but up close, this looks like my skin instead of like gross, nasty crap sitting on top of my skin. The only place it's not settling as well as normal is on the nose. Anywhere where I put that primer, the Poreless one. So it might be that for me it's just not going to work, but I can use it maybe as, like I did here, with as an eye primer instead. Because that worked pretty nice. We'll have to see how it lasts throughout the day for me though. So I was trying to think of like what kind of things surprised me about London, and I think some of those things I talked about were there, but it's also maybe the artifice of living in a, not artifice, the consequence of living in a big city is that I don't want to say people are mean, because it's not that at all. Like, each person can be very kind and very sympathetic, but you know, you have rules kind of conduct in public spaces, and it's like on the tube, like, don't make eye contact with people, you know, you get onto the train, you don't talk with people, you try and be silent, you try and do this, you know, you go with the flow, and it's very like, I don't know, I think it can be quite isolating. Because there's just so many people and everyone just wants to go, like, especially during work days. Obviously this is all pre-COVID, but I'm sure it'll eventually get back that way again. So this is the new color for me. I got this one in Fair. I wanted to try one that was a little bit lighter to brighten my under eyes a bit more. So yeah, so it can feel a little bit kind of isolating because nobody like will strike up a conversation with you on the bus, or if they are, you probably don't want to be talking to them because they're, you know, being creepy at you, or you know, maybe they're just being offensive or something. So you don't want to be, you don't end up talking to people like on the tube unless it's somebody that you know with, like you're with a group or with a party or something like that. So like striking up random conversations, it's like not, like it doesn't really feel like a thing. And it, like in shops and stuff, oh, we could talk about shops, but so it's kind of like you keep to yourself, like you do yourself. And I think coming from the States where it's pretty common to, like, if you go to a restaurant, you try and like chat with the waitress or waiter, or, you know, if you're going to a retail store, maybe you're gonna have a conversation with someone about something. And because I worked in retail in the States quite a lot, and you start to have conversations. It's not really like a, you know, leave me alone kind of thing. You kind of chat, and I guess I haven't really noticed that being like a big thing. I mean, I think it's because I live in London, because I live in a city that's so busy that it's just not that common there. But I think I'm sure if you go to somewhere that's a bit more rural. To be fair though, I lived in Cambridge for 2 years, and it was a bit better. It was generally a bit better, but it wasn't that much different in my opinion. All right, let's go ahead and set this with the baking powder. It's just a plain powder. It's nothing special about it. I'm just gonna use a big fluffy brush. Just to set this because I'm using powder cheek and powder highlights and something that we might be able to use as a bronzer. We're gonna see. So I want to have the face set when I'm doing that. So I'm just gonna kind of push this in while we're chatting. So yeah, so the shopping experience is definitely quite different, and I think in the States it's like overly friendly, overly helpful, overly cheerful, and, you know, having worked in retail, you're kind of, I don't want to say you're ever taught to do those things, but it's kind of implied that you're gonna try and have like the best customer service, you know, like that's something that's really important. And being positive and cheerful and helpful and conversational and chatty with customers is kind of part of that. And here it's really not. Like, often nobody will go up to you in a shop or talk to you. If they are, it's like they're watching you and you feel a little bit like weirded out. There's only a few places where I've ever felt like had really good customer service, and that's like some of the, where was it? Like little shops that are like owned locally or something like that. Of course they are, because it's in their interest. But like if you go into like a big department store or something like that, for the most part, it's not going to be, you know, people like helping and trying to take care of you. Is like ignoring you until you ask a question and looking like you've harassed them. So I do wonder if that's a bit of a London thing, but I do remember feeling that way when I lived in Hertfordshire at like our local mall and stuff like that. It's like people just didn't know shit that you were there and didn't care, and was like you're almost like you're bothering them. And, you know, you're going into a shop to spend money, and to feel like they don't want you there is like a really weird kind of sensation. So I haven't quite ever, I guess I got used to it now, because I just like go do my thing and I get out, and there's like, I guess I try a little bit harder to start conversations with customer service people so that I can feel like, you know, make them have a nice day as well. So, but I don't know, they all just feel very terse and very brief. Okay, so we're gonna try actually something weird. Finally, my Colourpop order from March came in, and it's the Mulan collection. I don't think I'm going to do a review on it because it's kind of old news now, and I've actually, I've started my, where is it? You can't see it, but I've started my new giveaway bag over there, so I decided to include part of this collection in the giveaway instead. But what I have kept is this blush. So it's called Matchmaker. Sorry, you know, my foundation always makes my nose itch. This one. But this is what it looks like. And I thought maybe on me, it could actually be a bit of a bronzer. So that's what we're going to try. We're going to try this one as a bronzer. And then I have another Flower Beauty blush, but since we've already tried that, I was thinking we could try this NYX Sweet Cheeks. It's kind of intense, but that might be fun. So yeah, so those are the products. And then I didn't have a new highlighter, so we're just going to use the Colourpop Horse and Carriage one as a highlighter. So we'll start with bronzer. I'll just do a little bit here and just a little bit around the perimeter. Do I have a clean brush for that? I think this is a highlighter brush. It says it's a highlighter brush. We're going to use it for contour. Not contour. Ah, it's everywhere. Bronzer. So yeah, I mean, I haven't ever worked in retail in the UK. I've had several jobs since I've been here, but most of them have been like, I worked as a kind of a secretary position a little bit when I was doing my PhD. And then I also worked in the library for a little bit. So I'm just trying to start up here so I don't like overdo it. Because sometimes I get like this line, like this splotchiness, and I don't want that. It's really light, like I'm barely even noticing anything, but I think it'll... No, I can see it in the camera, I can't really see it in real life, but that's fine. Where? Like looking for it, where is it? It's in your hand, dummy. So I can't say like how people are trained in customer service here. It's like not something I know anything about, but I think it's something that I really noticed because I worked in so much customer service. I worked selling wedding invitations, I worked in a bookstore, I worked in a retail at the mall, I worked doing hostessing at restaurants. You know, I've done like pretty much every kind of job when I was living in the States. So I had like, you know, I knew what the training was like, so I just thought it was a bit, I don't know, it's a bit weird. Anyone who's from the UK who has like an understanding of what is up with the very surly staff at nearly every retail spot in London, I would love to know about that. It's not everybody, but it definitely is like you've gone in and you've bothered them. Well, I think it just warms it up a little bit. I don't really notice much of a difference, so that's fine. Let's go ahead and try this blush. Now this looks intense, guys, so I'm a bit nervous, but we're just gonna go for it. I'm always nervous, and then I always apply way too much blush. So we'll just start with just that. Sorry, I realize I'm not talking, I'm like concentrating so hard. It looks a bit intense in the viewfinder there. Let me just blend it out a little bit more. Blend it down into where that bronzer is as well. I know I'm using the wrong brush, guys, but this is the one that I had in my hand, so this is what we're going with. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of other things that, of course, when you move to a new country that you have to get used to, like differences in currency, differences in sizing of clothing, which is still so confusing to me. There's kind of like a rule of thumb, but I don't really think it's that consistent. So like in the States at one point I was like a US size 4 or a US size 6, and then you come here and you should be like an 8 or a 10, but then because it's like 2 size plus, I don't know why, but it is, but then those are too small or they're too big or they don't fit right. So it's a really, you know, sizing is just as inconsistent here as it is everywhere else probably in the world. So there's that, but then some things are marked with European sizes on it, so then that makes it more difficult because then you have to kind of figure out what those things are. Shoe sizes are different, you know, so it's like all these like silly, quite petty things, but it is, you know, it does take a while. And then what I find is because I've been here so long that I have trouble converting sometimes back into thinking about the US system because I'm not used to that. So if I ever go for a visit, it takes me a little while to kind of remember what that is. We're just going in with this highlight using the same brush because I'm kind of just going right over the blush, really. I'm trying to think what else. And of course people, and dealing with people, and kind of understanding, you know, when you live in one country your whole life, you understand the nuances of conversation. So if, you know, if someone says, I'm fine, you know, something is like not right. You know, but trying to learn that for another country does take a little while to understand the nuances of what people say and what they write, you know, because I spend a lot of time on email, so trying to like unpick personality and unpick things from that, you know, it takes a long time. And I think for the most part now, I have a much more, you know, especially written, it probably, people are surprised because written it probably sounds very English, and then when they speak to me, obviously they can hear my American accent. We're going to try this e.l.f. satin. I don't know if this color is going to match with what we have. Let's just pull it out and try it. Got it in cider. Oh yeah, that's a fun one. Cider here is almost invariably hard cider, so just heads up, it's not like apple cider in the States, it's alcoholic. Yeah, we'll give it a go. If not, I have another NYX product, but I wanted to try more from, what is this again? e.l.f. I already forgot. Alright, I'll just do this off camera really quick, I'll be right back. Okay, so I think that looks, it doesn't not match, but it also doesn't match at all. So I think that was a poor choice for today. We can try and put some of this one on there. What is this one called? Best Buds. It's one of these powder puff ones. What was that e.l.f.? It was supposed to be a satin, seriously satin. I don't know, satin lipstick, whatever. Where's my scissor? I mean, it feels fine. Like, it feels fine on the lips. There's nothing like that wrong with it, but why don't we just add? Let's just add more. This isn't the same as the one I have, is it? No, that is definitely a different color. So these work the same way that like the concealers do, so you just have to like puff up into them. So this is actually a similar tone. This is the color Best Buds, but it's lighter, so I can kind of just put it here in the middle and let it kind of ombre a little bit to make it a little bit lighter. Alright, let's go ahead and zoom out. Alright guys, so that's the look. I think it's okay. It's not like amazing. I'm glad that we changed partway through what we were using because that was terrifying. Opinions, I don't really know if I want to give opinions yet because I have this is really just first try for things. Well, I mean, I have already these things, these Revolution Pro. I will try them maybe once more off camera just to make sure I hate them, but that was really bad. It looked so disgusting, and I have no idea why it was that bad. Everything else I think worked pretty much as expected. The eyeshadow palette worked really well. It was very pretty. I just tried a couple of the colors. I'm not convinced about that foil shade. I think it really has made my eyes, like, it looks a really crepey, and I'm not super happy with that, but I think it's fine for now. The mascara looks fine. It's not like that big or that impactful, so it might be that you need to build it up a little bit, but it's also not terrible. We'll have to see if it does the raccoon eyes thing. I'm not sure I like this as a primer. It actually seemed to make my nose and kind of area here worse, so I think I will skip that. I don't really think that this did much of anything either, so I think, I don't know, I'm just not a primer person, and I think that's been re-established today. Everything else, fine, yeah. I mean, I don't have any problems with anything else, so yeah, so that's pretty much it. Anyway, I know it's a bit of a rambly, get ready with me, chatting about London stuff, or really England stuff, kind of, but I don't know, I just wanted to chat and have a nice kind of relaxing time with you guys today, although that was slightly stressful with the foundation and concealer, but it's okay. It's makeup, we took it off, and we started again, and everything was lovely. Alright guys, so that's it. I will see you again in our next video, and I hope you guys have a really lovely day, and take care of yourselves out there. Bye bye!